So I said that I looked up a couple of articles and I didn't read any of them to y'all because I just kind of wanted to get my things out, while I had it. And I do want to go back and actually read some of this to y'all because even if you guys are going to continue denying anyway, continue lying, continue cyberbullying, this information might be helpful to somebody somewhere someday in understanding and coping with their own mental illness or their loved ones. So I'm going to turn my face off, which should make everybody happy. Okay. 5 sources of stigma around mental illness, treatment, and diagnosis. Number 1 is social status. In many cultures, acknowledging a mental illness is seen as a sign of weakness on more than one level. People raised in some cultures view mental illness as a moral failing. Others view it as a failure of the family to successfully care for their loved ones. In these cultures, the shame associated with loss of status, resulting from the perception of weakness, inability to manage family matters, independent of external support, sorry, I'm burping, often prevents people from seeking treatment for mental illness or recognizing the value of treatment. Number 2 is gender roles. In many cultures, powerful and pervasive norms prevent men from acknowledging any form of emotional or physical weakness. Men and the boys who will become men are supposed to be strong, silent, independent, and capable of handling anything, physical, mental, emotional, or otherwise, without anyone's help. In these cultures, people often consider a mental illness such as depression or anxiety a weakness. Therefore, acknowledging a mental illness and seeking treatment or support undermines gender norms and identity. These norms form the basis for their resistance to both treatment for and the diagnosis of mental illness. Number 3 is healing practices. The Western medical tradition is not the only approach to healing and medicine on earth. Contemporary science, medical technology, and medication are revolutionary and have changed the world. No one disputes this. Modern medicine has eradicated many deadly diseases and allows people to recover from conditions or injuries that would have been fatal 50 years ago. Nonetheless, that does not change the fact that there are cultures with healing philosophies and approaches to physical and mental rehabilitation that date back thousands of years. Expecting a person raised with these traditions to abandon them immediately is unrealistic, and borders on being patronizing and disrespectful. Before talking to them about your teenager's mental illness and treatment, or your own, we recommend taking the time to understand their understanding of medicine and healing, and why it prevents them from acknowledging a mental health diagnosis and a Western approach to treatment. So I will break in and say this article is about how to deal with getting mental health treatment for your child while your family disagrees with it. And so it's getting mental health issues for myself while my family disagrees with it. It's the same thing. Number 4 is age. This one is simple. Younger people who grow up or live in a country or culture that embraces Western medicine are more likely than their older family members to acknowledge mental illness and seek support and treatment for mental illness. The older they are, and more recently they are arrived in the country that applies Western medical principles, the more likely they are to resist things like psychiatric medications or approaches like talk therapy. This is not universally true, but it is common enough for us to mention it here, and it's important for you to understand that it's difficult for someone to let go of the traditions of their culture of origin. Number 5 is religion and spirituality. In some cultures, religious or spiritual traditions identify sources of disease and illness that are not recognized by Western medicine. People raised in these cultures may have a wide range of beliefs about the origin of various maladies. They may believe that illness is caused by a lack of harmony with the natural world, disrupted relationships with ancestors or ancestral spirits, or that deeds from past lives play a role in the presence of a mental or physical illness. If this is the case of one of your family members, whether you agree or disagree with them is not the point. What matters is that you understand where they're coming from, so you can understand how to bridge the gap between where they are and the choices you make. You may have noticed one word that appears frequently above: culture. Culture is often what prevents individuals from accepting the reality of a mental illness or recognizing the validity of the Western approach to treating mental illness, which revolves around accurate diagnosis, evidence-based treatment in the form of individual and group counseling, community support, lifestyle changes, and medication when needed. When trying to achieve harmony between family members of different cultures and generations, mutual understanding is the first and most important step. In the end, it's likely you'll need to set firm boundaries, which may be difficult. On the other hand, after initiating an open and honest dialogue, with the facts you learned above in mind, you may end up closer to agreement than you thought possible. Getting to that place starts with respect. If your goal is for them to respect your point of view and your choices for your teenager or yourself, then an effective strategy is to mirror those expectations. Learn about and respect their point of view and their choices as well. Your position on their beliefs is unlikely to change them. The conversation about mental illness and treatment should not turn into a culture clash. That won't help anyone. There are valuable points to keep in mind when seeking an accord with a family member who denies the validity of a mental illness or treatment for a mental illness for personal or cultural reasons. Bridging the cultural gap. Find areas about mental health illnesses where you do agree and focus on those. Make sure neither you nor your family members takes a position that stereotypes, attitudes, or beliefs around mental illness, trivializes or belittles people with mental health issues, offends people with mental health issues, patronizes people with mental health issues. Find a way to agree that everyone in the family shares a common goal: the health and wellness of your mental health. You may notice an anagram in that second bullet point: stop. The idea is to stop judgment and criticism of what you or your child is going through and start supporting one another on the path to overall health. At the same time, if they disagree completely with your approach to your teen or your mental illness, you can stop judgment and criticism of their point of view. While you can make it clear to your denying skeptical family member that your plan to pursue the Western evidence-based integrated approach to treatment for your mental illness, you can do that without stereotyping, trivializing, offending, or patronizing their point of view, their cultural traditions, or their spiritual religious beliefs. When you take that approach, you're likely to increase the chance of balance and harmony in your family. And when they see you're healing and growing, they may just come around in time. They may become active and productive participants in the treatment process. Okay, so I guess that's the end of the article. There are a lot of different reasons that people deny mental illness. I can't tell you why my family is in such denial. I can tell you that it's not healthy. It's not healthy for me. It's not healthy for them. It's not healthy for anybody to be in complete denial of something that a doctor has diagnosed. And that's just kind of common sense. And I mentioned in the title of the other video, but didn't mention in the video, that it's kind of a cultish thing mindset, stereotypical cult-like, and this is where they would tell me to stop. You're being judgmental about their denial, but it is because a lot of cults, they pull in people who have mental health issues and they convince them that there's nothing actually wrong with them. And it helps them to have more control over these people because sick people are obviously much easier to brainwash and manipulate. And if you have a sick people that you're denying medication and saying, oh, you don't need that, it's not going to end well. And it is a very cultish mindset to just be like, there's nothing wrong, you're just stupid. And I'm pretty sure we can beat that out of you.